And welcome to another day, another space weather video. It's a Saturday edition and we're doing all kinds of different stuff just because we can. This is a 48-hour view here of the sun. We're using the SDO dashboard here. Perhaps check that out if you'd like. And we see no sunspots. Earth-facing coronal hole south of the equator. South Pole coronal hole looking large and in charge, and indeed it is. Here's the 171 angstroms view. And we hope you like the new intro. We'll explain why we used that image of the sun when we get to the GONG2 data. Here's the colorized magnetogram. And this is also 48 hours. Or you should be able to see the timestamps. How about some data? And today we'll look at the ACE real-time solar wind. And you can see a recent shift in the BT/BZ, a big-time shift actually, as well as the phi angle there. Looks like the BT is all the way up to about 5, and that's plus 5, and the BZ is down at -5. So a big divergence in the total field and the orientation of the sun's field, as well as the orientation of the incoming solar wind noted there in the phi angle, which has just locked at 180 degrees. So that's a coronal hole magnetic connection having just happened. Solar wind density is around 6 protons per cubic centimeter there. And solar wind speed looks like it's been creeping up here slowly. Expecting to see that solar wind density drop off and the solar wind speed increase as the coronal hole wind stream arrives in more full force. Next, we'll look at the GOES electron flux, and I would note that the 10.7 centimeter radial flux is still down at 71 solar flux units. And there you can see the GOES electron flux having gone a little bit into alert levels yesterday. Again, we're expecting to see this drop off today and a ramp up in the solar wind speed. Also, 10.7 centimeter radial flux, again, still at 71. And X-ray flux is still flatlined, as we see no sunspots or any major active regions on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. And there's the GOES magnetometer looking a little smoother here over the past 24. And let's show you what we were looking at in the intro and how it relates to the actual magnetic environment. Now, so today we created a new image, and the image is from this time frame. So if you look at the intro at the beginning and end of this video, you'll see some images in ultra high resolution from the SDO from June 11th, 2015 until June 13th, 2015. And what we're noting is this giant South Pole plasma filament eruption. So you can see it happening there on the GONG2, and this is a perfect example of the way plasma orients to magnetic fields, and the way plasma does not become the magnetic fields, at least not in a stable capacity. Now, of course, the sun looks nothing like this now, but what we're doing here is we're tying together the actual phenomenon versus the magnetic environment and the way plasma actually interacts with your universe. As we regularly hear a lot of channels on YouTube talking a lot of nonsense and not understanding the science behind plasma cosmology. Here's the current image of what's going on with the sun. And notice the way it looks a little bit differently. We are going to be seeing some additional spikiness in the GOES magnetometer over the next few days, and the South Pole should remain in charge of the heliospheric current sheet over at least the next 48 hours. And assuming nothing changes, and it can instantly, it will remain in charge of the Earth-facing portion of the current sheet for another 2 weeks. Again, just keep in mind magnetic environments can change with no warning. Next, we'll look at 4 hours of geospace magnetosphere movies. And if you have theories as to how the Earth's geomagnetic field is generated, head to smashomash.com/forum and head to the Earth Geophysics section. And if you don't have a login yet, create a login and then set up a post. Tell us all about your theory. We'll listen. Don't make a fool of yourself, because we won't censor you. Ever. And here are the ground geospace magnetic perturbations. And I would just cite the fact that I've been getting in trouble on social media since before the word social media was a thing. I was a server and message board and game server admin all the way back in the mid-2000s. And I've seen it all, folks. You can't troll me. I mean, you can try. You're just going to get a response that you're not going to appreciate. And there are the geospace ground magnetic perturbations. 4 hours of them, courtesy University of Michigan. And we cover all kinds of stories on the channel. Here is a quick blurb about human health. There's the graph, the logarithmic graph on coronavirus. And we've got a massive repository of information over at smashomash.com/forum. If you haven't checked it out yet, there's another reason. A vast repository of info about coronavirus. It's in the free-for-all section. And if you don't have a login, set up a login, type a topic, and introduce yourself. Zoom it out a little bit. Here's where the planets are located, as Mercury and Venus are swinging around to this lonely side of the sun. And here's a sky chart for Allentown, PA, as it starts to get light. And we see a cosmic pileup happening in the daytime once again. No surprises here. And I've turned the sky chart in a way I didn't want to there. I like to face mine to the south, as that's the direction my sofa faces. Please leave a comment if you are a sofa king. And let's look at the last 24 hours of earthquakes, the best we can. Looks like a bit of an earthquake uptick around the planet. A little hard to tell right now as I'm viewing this on a tiny screen. And yes, I will be ripping the PC apart today. Today. Deep quake at Indonesia. It's a 4.2 magnitude. There's another deep quake at Alaska. Looks like nothing over a 6 magnitude over the past 24. Another deep quake at Alaska. A deep quake at Russia. A 5.2 at Fiji, the deep quake capital of the world, but that one's at the surface. And here is your volcano rundown. Mount Aso. Don't be an Aso and build a campsite on the slopes of Mount Aso as there's possible activity. Sakurajima exploded, produced a 5,000-foot ash plume. Dakono, continuous emissions, flight level 8,000 there as it explodes. Mauna Loa back on the list again, as we see gas concentrations remaining stable and fumarole temperatures have not changed significantly either, but the ground continues to inflate at the summit and magmatic seismicity continues. Popocatépetl, possible emissions there. Sangay, possible emissions there. Revenador, exploding. 14,000-foot ash plume there. Sabancaya, weak emissions. And Nevados de Chileans exploding also, producing a 13,000-foot ash plume. Please do not attempt to pole vault Nevados de Chilean. And next we'll show you an animation here of the NASA GOES water vapor map. As we're getting some cold air for about another day and a half here in eastern Pennsylvania before the temperatures go back up to 50 degrees again. Let's check out this convergence line over Colorado. And there's that zone there where there's some pressure gradients forming. Looks like an interesting day for cloud photographs once again. I forecast lenticular clouds there. Please leave a comment if you've got photos of them. Or you can email me at smashomash@gmail.com. And here's a 48-hour animation of the local yellow dwarf. It's 304 angstroms. And we are so out of here, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to go look at that GONG2 data, the dates are June 11th, 2015 through June 13th, 2015. There are some great filament eruptions coming out of the south pole of the sun on that day. So go check that out if you want to look at it. And there are a lot of different places you can look at the same data and perhaps corroborate or debunk idiotic theories about the way these things actually work. So remember, folks, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. Expect another video or 2 or 3 coming today. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.